What's going on, guys? Neal here. Welcome back to another video. Now in today's video I'm going to show you how to use the 4-2-3-1, the most meta formation in FIFA 21. I'm going to show you the custom tactics and instructions that are very specific for this formation that can help you get a couple of more extra wins in the weekend league. I've been altering and testing this formation for weeks, and the reason why the 4-2-3-1, especially this year, is the most stable formation is because one, the only formations where you can attack in a 4-striker formation with your 3 cams and your striker, but also you can have one of your CDMs join the attack, which essentially makes it a 5-man attack. Now the reason why even pros like to use it, especially with the 4-1-2-1-2 second variation, is not only do you have attacking superiority, you also have the numerical advantage when you're defending. When you defend in the 4-5-1, you defend in a compact unit, and you block out the middle of the pitch, which makes it very hard for your opponent to get past you. Even if he tries to attempt to counter attack you, you've got 2 CDMs that are specifically placed there to break down any counter attacks. I've also given out the custom tactics to a pilot group that have tested the tactics that can work for all ranges. So between whether you're a silver player, whether you're elite player, these tactics should work for you. But without further ado, let's get straight into this video. Don't forget, if you do like this video, don't forget to subscribe and check out all other formations on my channel. So let's start. The 4-2-3-1. The reason why it's the most effective formation, as I said, both attacking and defensively, is you have 4 players to play with when you're attacking. All these 4 players are going to be able to go forward when you're attacking. You can also bring an additional CDM to go forward. That means when you're attacking, you're always going to have a numerical advantage up against your opponent's back 4. But also defending, because you defend in a compact unit, you defend with a branch of 2, 3 and a 1, so you basically end up becoming a 4-5-1. So you can use your striker to press and your 3 cams can stay in position. Formations like the 4-4-2, these 2 strikers are too far forward and that leaves your midfield 4 isolated. That's why it's the best combination of attacking and defending. But let's get straight into the tactics. I'll explain to you how everything works, and also don't forget, it's important you watch this entire video because the tactics and instructions are very specific, and I'll explain to you why each thing is kept that way. Now for defensive style, you want to use balanced. You don't want to use drop back compared to people keep talking about drop back, but the issue is you're staying too far back. If you play FUT Champions or Weekend League, a top tier player will hold the ball outside your box because you're sitting too deep, and they're going to start spamming the driven crosses and they're going to start spamming elasticos. So you want to use balance, because balance, your team still press with AI. AI is very neutral, but the team still press. If you rely on pressure never touch, something like this, the issues with this formation and these tactics is that the 4-2-3-1, although it's very attacking, you could also get countered very easily. So you're better off just using balanced, and you don't forget the way this formation is positioned. With the 3 cams and a striker, you can always press manually yourself. So AI will help you with balance, and if you want to, you can always use team press because we know how effective that is. Now the width, we've kept this on 5. Now depending on formations, like a 4-1-2-1-2 second variation is more of a narrow formation, so you may want, for example, a more wider width, and the 4-4-2 in contrast is a wider formation. But the 4-2-3-1 has one of the most balanced formations because the Lam and the Ram, they merely act as wingers. So when you do a quick link up play with your left back, you do a through ball down the wing, these wingers, they always go through every single time. So you want them to start on the inside and make the run towards the outside. So that is why we've gone with a width on 5. So you don't want to alter the position too much, so we've gone with a width of 5. Depth, we brought this down a bit just to 4. This makes you high enough the pitch where you can actually build up, and that way you don't get pinned in your own half, but it's not too far up where you're just going to get countered. But you know how bad counters are this year. A simple through ball in behind and you could be in big trouble. So I wouldn't really recommend going above 5. I would say 4 is the best combination. If you are really struggling, you can go to 3, but I think 4 is the best combination all around. Now offensive style, what we've gone with is long ball. Now a long ball this year is even more effective because AI make these runs going forward. Now in case you're wondering what long ball means, long ball just means getting behind. So that is basically saying, okay, if for example my CDM has the ball, these players are going to get in behind. Now why this is very important is because wide cams in a 4-2-3-1, they do not have a getting behind option. As you can see, there's no getting behind option. So what long ball is saying is, I want the 3 cams, I want you guys to make runs going forward. So that's all it means. This means players are going to make runs going forward. It's especially good for counter attacks and building up the play. And that's what you overlap your opponent and you create those runs from centre mid, which I'll get onto in a second. Now the attacking width, we've also left it the same as our defensive width, again because the 4-2-3-1 this year is the best appropriate balance. Last year you had to go a bit more lower down 1 because you found the wide players are just a bit too wide, but I think this year they're in a perfect position. Once you try this in game, come back to this video and you'll see what I'm talking about. If you have this too high, your players are going to be too wide, there's going to be no one left in the middle of the pitch, and anything below 4, your players are going to be too close. If someone is parking a bus, someone is dropping back, you want to be as wide as possible, but you also want the outlets available. So 4-2-3-1 with a width of 5 gives the best appropriate balance all around. Now players in the box, we've increased this to 6 because it gives you the perfect balance of having players in the box. And don't forget, driven crosses are very effective this year, but you don't want to be too overpowering because we've got a centre mid on balance. So I would recommend leaving this on 6, and you can always change this with the instructions. Corners and free kicks, we have left these to 1 because counter attacks are a big thing in this game and we do not want to get countered. Now back into the instructions. Now for the striker, we have them on balance. There's no point putting, for example, stay central because it's a singular striker anyway. So being on balance and letting him drift wide and stay central when he wants to is very good for counter attacks. And there's no point putting get in behind either, because remember I said to you we're using the long ball tactic. This is where the long ball tactic ties in. Long ball just means get it behind, so that striker is going to get it behind anyway, so there's no need to force this. If you press this, and the player's always going to get it behind all the time. And we put him on stay forward because we want that striker up there, up front for the counter attack. So we put Mbappe or any striker on stay forward. It can be any fast striker, someone like Ben Yedder, someone like Lucas Moura, someone like Rashford, or someone like Neymar, Mbappe. All those players work very well there. Now for the central cam, everyone stay forward, conserve interceptions, and get into the box for cross. Now what this means is you're going to basically attack in a 4-5-1. So what's going to happen is your 2 strikers are basically going to stay forward. So you kind of got a second striker and a striker. So that's a quick, so the quick 1-2s between them is very, very effective, especially with creative runs this year. The quick 1-2s between the 2 strikers is very, very effective. So we put him on stay forward so he's always up, so you can do a quick 1-2 with the striker and it can always get past your defenders for the counter attack. We put him on conservative because when you're defending, you don't want this player to be running forward too much, because if this guy goes forward too much, then your 2 CDMs are going to be exposed. The cam naturally sits very much deeper compared to most other formations, even on stay forward. So it's always available there for the counter attack, but is also not moving out of the way. We have also put him on get into the box for cross. So when one of your left backs or right backs or your wingers go down the wing, when you do cross the ball in, you're going to have an extra striker joining in outside the box. And don't forget, because he's on stay forward, he's always going to act as the second striker, so he'll be there for the counter attack. You want to ideally play a striker here, someone like Mbappe, Neymar, Dembele, almost like a second striker as opposed to traditional cam like De Bruyne. You don't want to play him here, you want someone that's fast and that can play alongside. Think of like the Bergkamp-esque role, but a faster version of him. I just want to say, if you do want to get better at FIFA, I do have a paid advanced in-depth FIFA School Series. This is for all levels of those that want to improve in FIFA. This is different from YouTube videos. It's a progressive learning system where all the videos go completely in depth, and you won't find these videos on my YouTube channel. These go beyond the scope of typical YouTube videos. They're very long, elaborate videos explaining what you need to do and what you need to become a better game, explaining everything. So come join hundreds of others in a mature audience community for those looking to get better at FIFA. Link is in the description for more information. Patreon.com/Neal, guys. Of course, I have all of last year's videos as well, which all apply to this year, and I'll have new videos coming soon for FIFA 21. And it's a complete money back guarantee. So if after 1 month you decide that you didn't get better at FIFA, I'll refund your money back, and that way you won't lose anything. So come join the FIFA School Series. But anyway, back to the video. Now for your LAM and RAM, in order to make this as attacking as possible, we put this on balanced. This is the reason why you can attack in a 4-striker formation. You can put these on stay forward, but you're just going to be too vulnerable going forward. You really are. And comeback and offense means they're always going to come back. It's not really worth it. I will say balance is the best thing you can do. If you're always struggling with defending, let's say you're worried in the game that you're 1-0 down or you're 2-0 down, let's say you come back, it's 2-2, and you're worried about defending, you can always manually put these to come back on offense. But I'll be honest, by putting these on balance, they're always coming back naturally, and they're always a bit more attacking with their work rates. Because if you play naturally wingers in this role, they're like high, medium, high, they're naturally going to be in those positions anyway, so you don't really need to put a comeback on the fence on them at all. We have to support and cross on balance. So this is important. You don't, when you're down the wing, you don't always want, for example, the opposite person to come inside the box, because sometimes you might mess up the cross, or you might be able to cross the ball in, and you want to be able to cut back and go back to your CDMs and build the ball up again. So we left them on balance, so they'll only run in when there's a clear chance to go forward. If you put them on get into the box, they're always going to make a run into the box whether there's a chance or not. So balance gives the appropriate balance. I wouldn't use free roam and I wouldn't use drift wide, because drift wide means they stay too wide, and what happens is when they're too wide, you got no one else and your 2 strikers are isolated when they're together. So I wouldn't put drift wide and I wouldn't put free roam either. And that's the same for both the wide cams. Again, both these wide cams, you're going to be playing wingers in this role. Don't forget, they act like wingers in game. Think about how Chelsea played with Hazard, the 4-2-3-1, and Hazard used to cut inside. You want fast players on the lamb and the ram. In terms of 2 CDMs, so the first CDM, this is where things get very important. The most defensive CDM on cut passing lanes, cover center, stay back while attacking, and conservative interceptions. Cut passing lanes is really important because the CDM, he doesn't go forward too much, and also he doesn't go to man mark the striker. This is important. If you want to gain midfield and control and dominate the midfield, you don't want players running in behind all the time, because if your opponent decides to make a through ball, if he's on man mark, he's going to get through balled on. So you'll leave him on cut passing lanes. That way you'll position himself naturally to cut the passing lanes. So for example, if there's player A and player B over here, he'll position himself in between to stop the pass, and you can always switch to him and then manually defend, as opposed to, for example, trying to man mark player B and then player A has too much space to run forward. We've also put him on cover center, so he defends the central areas. Don't forget, you don't need to put cover wing on, because the left attacking mid and right attacking mid, they come back and they defend. And we have him on stay back while attacking, so that way he's always on stay back while attacking, so you don't get counter attacked. And the most important thing this year is conservative interceptions. I find that a lot of the CDMs, they go forward too quickly and they end up putting a tackle in, and that's how they get beaten on the counter attack. By putting conservative interceptions, they basically stay in their position and only move if they can win the ball clearly. Now the other centre mid, we have him on balanced attack, conservative again, and cover centre. So this means that this player is going to be on balanced. Ideally you want someone who's got high work rates, but someone like Pogba will be really good. Someone like Sissoko would be really good here. So when you do get the ball, they can join the 4 strikers. So it ends up becoming a 4 striker formation with one guy from midfield join the attack. Ends up becoming a 5 striker formation. That's why you want to leave him on balanced. Again, what's very important is conservative interceptions, because once you lose the ball and this cam or this CDM that becomes the cam is high up the pitch, you don't want him to be aggressive. You want him to be conservative. That way you can switch to him and always run back if you need to. So we put him on conservative interceptions. Now, if you're watching this video and you know you're struggling with defending, I want you to try these tactics out. Then after you played a couple of games, if you've realized, okay, you know what, maybe I realized that this formation is too attacking for me, what you can do is you can reduce one of these guys to stay back while attacking, and you can put the other defensive minded player on drop between defenders. This is an attacking tactic. This means that, for example, when you're attacking, this CDM would drop in between. The left back and right back, they would basically go wider apart and they'll provide support to the central areas, and you'll have a temporary back 3. So that means against counterattacks you will be a bit more secure. So if you are struggling with defending, and you know, for example, you're struggling with defending and you're not that good at defending this year, I would say put that on drop between defenders. If not, you can go return to the stay back while attacking and leave this player on balance. So I would say, as I said, do play this for a couple of games, then come back, and then if you have to change it, then obviously feel free to do so. Both the centre backs on stay back while attacking, there's no changes there, and the left back and right back, we have them on stay back while attacking. Again, conservative interceptions, because what I'm finding is a lot of players, they're doing the cheap tactics of having 3 players on stay forward, and they're basically just abusing the wing play by just doing through balls all the time down the wing. Now you don't want your left back and right back, the AI just pushing them forward. So on conservative interceptions, they hold their ground. They don't just sit there and do nothing, but they only go for the ball when they can win it. That way you'll never get caught on a counter-attack unless you make a mistake. Sometimes you realize that AI, the left back and right back, they move forward on their own, and you're like, what are they doing? But with conservative interceptions, they stand still. And run type overlap, this just means that if they do run forward, they're going to overlap. You don't want to use inverted, because that will make them go in towards the central areas, and that'll push your lamb and your rams out wider. You don't want your lamb and your attacking players to be wider on the wing. You want the other way around. You want your right back to be on the outside and this guy to be pushed inwards. Now don't forget, overlap doesn't mean they'll be going forward. They're still going to be staying back while attacking. It just that means that if they are triggered forward, or if you do a quick 1-2, then their run is going to be overlapped. Now for the goalkeeper, what you can do is you can use sweeper keeper. I would say you need a decent goalkeeper for this. Someone like De Gea and someone with a saved feet rate, someone like ter Stegen is a very good goalkeeper, is what I'd recommend. You can try sweeper keeper, and that is only if you play high line. So if you know you play very aggressively, you can use a sweeper keeper. And that is basic tactics and instructions. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. Do not forget, I do stream on twitch.tv/NealGuides. A link will be down below in the description as well. And don't forget, I got other tutorials on my channel and other formation videos. So if this formation doesn't work for you, I got loads of other formations on my channel, so do check that out. And don't forget to subscribe if you do enjoy the content, as I'm uploading new videos, new tutorials and new formations weekly, so you can try new things out every single week. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Take it easy, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out, boys.